who we are as the future is in relationship. And the relationship that we're in as the future is right now.
When we come together as community, what is the universal juice that keeps a community in touch with each other?
If we have a Ministry of Agriculture now, in 2112, is it a Ministry of Sustainable Agriculture?
What's the role of those intermediate institutions like national governments?
How can we enjoy life without all the stuff?
How do we get the basic capacity for people to live a dignified life?
So how do you generate a safe space, a place where you're always belonging?
What would it be like if we had this culture in service to life? Like what would be those higher order values?
We would have a different language, a different story, and it would be the language of creating, not the language of problems and solutions. We are so embedded in this language of problems and solutions.
To see that in 2112 it was a wild, fecund place, full of animals and birds. The salmon runs had been restocked and come back. Beauty was all around. Children were inspired and learnt from the winged ones. And that we all in our hearts listened. We could understand bird song and understand grass rustle. And we knew that we were in partnership with all the other than human ones.
So we are here as the Council of 2112, those who have been entrusted with the vision, the possibilities, the way of being that we all imagine is possible for 2112. So who are we as a culture in service to life? It's 2112. Who'd like to begin? When we're in circle, like we are now, we come from a deep place within and then speak so that it is meaningful, it is connected, and it's not coming from here. The mindfulness is not a thought, but there's an integration of our hearts and our bodies and the spirit flowing through us in connection.
We would not have the kind of fighting in 2112 over religions because spirituality wasn't outside of us. We'd eaten it kind of whole and it become part of us and integrated into our lives.
And we saw the need for creative ways to tackle the problems that we had to do collectively, that we couldn't solve individually, but which recognized the importance of both the local and the global in our lives.
One of the, I think, really poetic ideas was the idea that our topic was investment. And so our primary investments were in fertility. So life, living systems, our children. There are some really powerful examples in the way we work in terms of the way our social architecture and our economic architecture are married together, that we make decisions from the collective about what is invested based on what is good and collected from many pieces of the truth.
If we're going to be putting our resources into something, that it needed to reflect criteria that were life-affirming and that they were based in egalitarianism and they were based in long-term sustainability and improving the productive capacity of the earth and of the community.
Found the universal values. We have looked, sought, and thinned out what's important, what is not. And if I manage to make that as a centerpiece of our business, our politics, our spiritual life, our relationship to the earth.
So now we live in solidarity with each other, and we all feel each other's pain, and we all feel each other's joys and celebrations, and we stand shoulder to shoulder. And so now we're able to work through things together instead of us versus them type paradigms.
And so we're going to take about 20 minutes or so to hear from the people who have been the witnesses or the listeners to the picture that's emerging from the inner group. So who'd like to begin? What are you sensing? What have you heard that gives you hope, inspiration, captures your imagination?
I feel hopeful hearing that there's a group of people who collectively realize that not only is it necessary to create change in order for us to create a world where there's a possibility for our great-grandchildren to live in, but that we recognize that we have the collective will and resources to do that.
I feel really inspired about that we're embracing change, and that the economic system that is no longer functioning is going to be met with alternatives of local economy.
One of the things that I'm going to carry with me is that you have the right to own your own story and to speak it out loud, and there's no paradigm that's set in real stone.
The solutions for the future are not bound by the problems of today.
I was pleased to hear the council talk about where we would be, and I think that's where we know where we come from and where we're going. We make a valuable part in this world, and we can look 200 years ahead.
The connective fabric or structure of who we are as the future is this conversation as it's happening now and as it translates from now to every when.